My name is Kareem. I just turned 45 on November 4th. I've been in prison now just approximately 14 and a half years, and I'm in Sing Sing Correctional Facility in New York.
Is there something you want to share today?
Well, there's one thing I like to think of is, in the past, I can remember embracing the false narrative of being a victim, wanting to blame everyone, society, and not be accountable. And I feel grateful that over the years I've been able to embrace accountability and emotional maturity and be more responsible for the choices that I make. And once I began to think like that, things have improved, consistently, from personal interactions with family, with staff, other incarcerated individuals, and it really helped me a great deal to further develop my potential and be able to be more comfortable in my own skin and just let go of a lot of things in here that you can easily pick up, especially things that are counterproductive. That really helps keep me in a good space. So despite the circumstances and some of the stuff that goes on, I'm in a good space. I'm doing well mentally, physically, emotionally, and I'm happy to be here.
Nice. Was there a moment in time when that changed for you from being the victim to wanting to change the narrative?
I would have to say there had to be several almost like aha moments over time. I think it was a gradual development. I think early in my incarceration, I can remember just feeling like I got to figure out, how did I get back here? Like, what did I do wrong? And I guess just being open to reading. At some point, I came across a book I believe was called, I believe the book was called How to Be Your Own CBT Therapist. And as I began to read the book, realized they had exercises that were like if you were in a therapy session and talking to a therapist. And I remember wanting to skip over the questions. They were like, no, the purpose of the book is to actually process what you've been going through. And as I began to process it, I remember feeling like, wow, I didn't even know I was feeling these things or things I felt about experiences in the past. And that began to just open me up to just being aware of what I've been through and being able, I guess, to just process it and having some sense of what I can do to move forward. And that began on a journey. Then over time, I would come across other information. And eventually, when I began to get into college, some of those classes definitely helped take me to, I guess, a next level, so to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a gift that so many people in here, especially who don't take that jump, right? They don't spend the time to do the work or to look at themselves in a different light.
Yes.
So, super impressive.
That's missing. Like, in a lot of the programs here, there's not much that talks about you being accountable. So again, sometimes it's the narrative in prison is to just blame society, blame everyone, blame the system. And I mean, obviously there are some, inequities in the system. We do know there's been some wrongs throughout the country that have impacted certain communities, but outside of that, we have to be responsible for the decisions we make. And again, it's normal here to just scapegoat that, and just point the finger and never be accountable. That's the norm in this environment.
There's something in your writing that you wrote about to us before about being a new dad or a new father.
Oh, well, yes, that was, years ago, but I believe I touched on, I guess that experience may have helped me from falling off to the deep end once I came back to prison. Mm-hmm. That, I've had some positive experiences, even though I got in trouble and came back. And that was something that allowed me just to kind of hold on and not give up, because I do have family to return to. Mm-hmm. I do have people that, despite disappointed about coming back to prison, mm-hmm. I know that I do have a lot that I do owe them. I need to not lose sight of that, because again, it is easy to lose sight of that and just slip into misery and be angry. But I know those tools don't work.
Yeah. Is there any personal experience you want to share?
Personal experience, well, I have to say one of the toughest things I had to deal with in the last few years was my son's mother committed suicide, and very, some definitely hard to deal with, and I mean overall I know I'm okay, and I guess one of the hardest things about it was it just kind of gave me a sense of guilt for not being there, and even though we weren't together at the time, we became closer friends over the years, and when things like that happen, you always think, was it something I could have done, something I could have said,
I'm sorry. Oh.
Sorry about that.
No.
But that was definitely a heavy blow, obviously, to the family, to me, to my son, but on a positive note, some of the experience I've had with learning about therapy and starting to heal and processing my own traumas gave me something to share with my son, even prior to this experience. So I definitely like to believe that all the things we've all poured into him prior to this definitely helped allow him to have some sort of strength while going through this. And even when I talked to a therapist here, it gave me something else to lean on that, despite the pain and the hurt, that I've been able to be in a space where I do understand what I need to do, and it's natural to have those feelings. And, I don't need to, blame anyone or blame myself. It's an unfortunate situation. All we can do is put as much positive energy into my son, help him, and we have a great rapport. And obviously, he's hurting, but he's doing well. We have great conversations, and again, I've always been transparent, and always talk about my own failures, my own setbacks, just trying to find a holistic approach to bond with him, because, being in this environment, I can only do but so much. The best I can do is be a friend, be a ear, contribute some insight to his life, and I do believe that has been going well, despite that loss. And I'm always sharing stuff with him, and again, just doing the best I can, contribute to the healing process of myself and everyone in my circle.
So when you say you're communicating with him and you're in support, is that phone calls? Do you get to do video? Are you able to see him? What's that look like?
Well, right now it's just mainly been through the tablet, on the kiosk, and the phone. So, right now the phone time varies. I also have college class at night, and then he has a job, he works, so don't catch him all the time. So in between phone calls, I will text him. I have a brother that I'm real close with. He makes sure he's in constant communication with him. My mother, she's in constant communication with him, and my daughter I have with through another relationship. So the family's there, and I'm grateful. Again, despite the circumstance, the family relations have definitely improved. Everybody's happy that I'm doing well, and I'm grateful that I can contribute and just have this reciprocal relationship, and everybody's just looking forward to me to continue to progress.
Well, you're so lucky, it sounds like, to have support. There's so many people that we sit down with, that we hear from, write to us, who don't have anybody on the outside. So you're lucky to have such a good support system.
Yes, and I have to honor that by doing the right thing, because you do have people in this environment that can take advantage of that are not grateful for it. And what does I say to those, like you said, that don't have that? To have family is great, and I know some guys who have had less of a family support system and really had to jump through, hoops to really get it together out there, And fortunately, I do have some guys that have been out, that have gotten out before me, and I'm able to see their struggles and learn from their progress, and they share different things with me about their journey, and that helps as well to be abreast of some of the challenges that I face when I'm released.
Yeah, this is a touchy subject, but it reminds me when I think about your son's mother. But I know it's very prevalent in San Quentin. Does suicide, is that something that you're familiar with, or people that you live close to in here experience?
Actually, no, this is the first facility I've been in where there's been a few suicides, probably more deaths through overdose. There's been a lot of that. I guess during the pandemic, there may have been an uptick in both, I would say. It's unfortunate because there's no, it's almost like you become desensitized to it in a sense. There's no like collective way to mourn. They don't give you a moment to grieve, you know, and when those things happen, it's like the day just goes on. Like you just, you know, how do we just not acknowledge it?
Yeah. And the same with your son's mother, like you stuff it, right? There's not necessarily a place for you to then go and heal from that or acknowledge it. So what support in here got you through that?
There's a few people that I've been able to talk to. I did request to see the therapist just because I know that's a healthy thing to do. And because I've read, you know, over the years that it's not good to hold that in. And I think as a kid, you know, I lost my father. I was about 11 going on 12 years old. And I know at that time, I wasn't processing it. You know, maybe family may have not known what to do. I didn't have access to therapy. And I think by holding that in, you know, that increased some of the challenges I've had over time. You know, with some anger issues, you know, blaming the world, not knowing how to deal with that pain, burying it. And I think just over the years, I've just begun to heal from that in a sense. Because I can remember as a kid, my father taught me how to play chess as a kid. You know, I was really heavy into sports through his influence. And it took years for me to realize that loss brought me closer to those activities. And I stopped right after that. I didn't really equate that with that reminded me of my father then, and me distancing myself from those activities was a way for me to distance myself from that pain because I wasn't processing it. It took years to really understand that. So through learning that, I knew that it would be healthy to talk to people about that loss and talk to my son and let him know, like, sometimes I do want to talk about it, but if he's around friends, I might not want to have an emotional discussion and get him emotional around his friends, you know, his peers if he's hanging out. But it still would have to at least bring it up sometimes to know that it's okay to have those feelings and talk about it. Like we have to, you know.
Yeah, and that's such a huge influence that you have with your son to be able to give him that avenue for both of you, right? For him to identify and touch his feelings, and that'll just make him so emotionally mature and intelligent like you are.
Thank you. And that's the sentiments I try to share because all of a sudden you're ahead of the game, you know, being able to have these, I mean, obviously you took a loss, but being able to have the support system you have and have different discussions and, you know, doing the right thing at your age is phenomenal because it's so easy to utilize that as, you know, motivation to do the wrong things, you know.
Yeah. How old's your son?
Oh, he just turned 19 in September.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's a young
That's
man.
an influential age.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you're lucky he's got, seems like you said he's going to college and work, right?
Well, he's working. We've been discussing opportunities of college or trade school, so he's debating on that and worried about going into debt. So it's okay to take your time, but I will continue to check in on you about that, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
And did you go to college outside or did you do it inside here?
I did 2 semesters when I got out in 03. I did some time as an adolescent. I think at the time I may have put too much on my plate, tried to work a job full-time, go to school full-time, start a relationship, and just kind of all over the place. I mean, I had great intentions, but I think it became overwhelming. I did 2 semesters of digital film and multimedia. So unfortunately, around the end of the second semester, I thought it would be best to take some time off, work a little more, you know, save some money. I was having a kid, my son I was talking about. And so I walked away from school, but I started doing some freelance work on some low budget hip hop videos. I got into doing some deposition work for another company. So I actually got some work in the field at that time. I just maybe had a little less direction, but that experience was definitely vital. And even in hindsight, I learned a lot when I think about it now. You know?
Is there any audiovisual opportunities in here for you?
Unfortunately, no, not at the moment. You know, for the guys that came in to design our new computer lab, these are formerly incarcerated people that learned how to code. I believe in San Quentin, if not all of them, at least some of them. So the computer now is preloaded with a lot of opportunities for, you know, some coding exercises, a bunch of TED Talks. I mean, it's phenomenal what you can do down there. So if I don't have schoolwork to do, I'll go down there and pretty much do some self-teaching, and some exercises, and so that's the most I could do with anything regarding technology right now.
So tell me what you do to relax in here.
I exercise. I like to jog. A little bit of boxing. I mean, nothing, with anyone else, but I can hit the heavy bag, the boxing gloves. I like to meditate when I can. Sometimes I can slip out of my routine. I'm not gonna lie, but that's definitely a big help. Just thinking about that concept of mindfulness, that helps me a lot.
And what is, when you say exercise, what's that look like in here?
Well, you can in the yard or the gym. I like to do a lot of calisthenics. So I mean, push-ups, pull-ups, there's some sit-ups. Pretty much cardio type. So that's what I like. That's, to me, is a form of meditation for me. I just get in my own space if I got things I want to work out, or I may have something on my mind, and usually, I'll work itself out throughout the course of the day, or maybe in the evening. But all of that together helps. Just try to stay productive.
So a lot of people watching this have no idea what prison's like, so it's nice to paint them a picture as to what it looks like. So when you say that you can go work out, obviously we're in New York where it's colder here, what does it look like? What's a gym in prison look like?
The gym here, it's usually not too crowded. If anything, you have more people trying to get on the phone than exercising now. The gym kind of just have like an old look to it. Have some machine weights, a heavy bag in the corner, another smaller area you can do some calisthenics, basketball court. The yard, similar, you have a couple of basketball courts, a separate weight area, area you can wait for the phone, some benches that are somewhat categorized by gang affiliation or geographical location. You even have an area that's pretty much known where people are using some type of substance. There's a lot of medical emergencies that happen in the yard for different synthetic narcotics. That goes on a lot here, unfortunately. And I think I mentioned earlier, there's been quite a few overdoses over the last year, 2 years. Sad. Sometimes being late at night, you just wake up and hear somebody screaming and yelling, and then, again, that happens in the yard a lot as well. So there's a little bit of everything that goes on in the yard. And usually guys that are like in college, or just the guys that are productive, are pretty much kind of somewhat isolated from some of those things that go on in the yard. Usually stay in productive areas, like I said, maybe to work out, or maybe have some productive discussions on the side somewhere. So you can't stand out, but you're known to not be in the circles that are unhealthy, which is good.
Yeah. So are there 2 to a cell here?
No, fortunately they stopped that here a while ago, so you do have single cell units. Yeah.
And are you in the honor block?
No, not yet. It takes about 4 years to get over there on that list, so I'll be coming up on 2.5 years on the list, I think January. So still got a while to go. So it's pretty much like I'm in a whole different world where I'm at. Unfortunately it's still a prison, but it's a lot better for the guys over there than where I'm at.
I want to hear about your tattoos, if you're willing to share.
Yeah, this is Lone Wolf, if you see. This is some years ago.
You can show the camera.
Okay, yeah. I got this some years ago. I believe I was in Elmira. I think that I was going through a process of just learning more about myself. Just starting to learn about therapy and healing and books on, positive thinking. And so even though it's a tattoo on the hands, but I think part of what I was thinking at the time was almost like a declaration of independence. Like, I'm cool with being on my own. I don't need to be a part of a gang. I'm okay. I'm not carrying around any fear. I'm not projecting anything negative. I'm all right with being alone. So it wasn't with a negative, thought behind it,
Yeah.
And I just kind of wanted someone on the hands that kind of thought it was cool at the time as well.
Were you in a gang before?
Years and years ago, I did do a few years, but didn't really take long for me to realize, just wasn't making sense. And unfortunately, when I came back to prison, there was opportunities to get back in, and I started to slide in that direction. But I realized like I've grown too much to go back. It just didn't feel right. And again, even though I did get in trouble, it just like no, I'm trying to figure this thing out, and I know that's not going to help.
Yeah.
You know.
So I want to get off the tattoo topic. Tell me about your other tattoos. You've got lots of good ones.
Yeah, well, I guess I try to get some positive ones. I have a Buddha head on my wrist here.
You can stand up and show it.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
Something I got some years ago that's just like a reminder. And the basic tenets of Buddhism definitely helped me a lot. I mean, I don't necessarily find myself to be overly religious, but some of the basics definitely help. You know, and again, this lotus, finishing the same idea of enlightenment, you know, being positive, growth and development, you know. It's kind of went with that theme. I mean, I didn't have it all thought of at the same time, but over time, I have like a pharaoh, number 7. I think this was kind of interesting. I believe I got years ago, to know thyself, to know God, and the Alpha and Omega and the Eye of Horus. There's some things I found interesting to be different, you know, where a lot of guys was doing the same thing. I just wanted to be a little different.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing this.
Yes, and before I go, you remind me of the civilian that came in and teaches ASAP. That's the Alcohol and Substance Abuse Treatment Program. Miss Sherman, you remind me, she was great. You remind me of Miss Sherman.
I might have to get a
She
hold
was
of her.
really great. She was really big on, you know, being courageous enough to be vulnerable in a room full of men.
Oh, will you
And
say
she
that
was-
again? That's a good sentence. She was courageous to be
No, she.
vulnerable in a room.
Yeah, she encouraged us to be courageous, to be vulnerable in a room full of men. Like it was okay to share. Sure, throughout the spectrum, but there are differences in each facility. Like for instance, you don't really have to do anything here if you don't want to. You know, if you're not proactive about what you want to do for your future, then if you just want to just sit around and hang out all day, you can. You know, you have like what they call no-show jobs. You can have an assignment on paper, but you don't have to do anything. So you really have to be aware that you have an opportunity to take charge of your life and do something. And you know, I do mentor some guys around here, and I encourage them. And you can see the change where some guys you can see never had any kind of encouragement, and how much that can impact them right here. And you're like, wow. And you can see the fruits of your labor when you encourage people, how much it does motivate them. And it kind of like has a domino effect. You know, then of course there may be some people that you can't reach, or as they say, what's the saying, wisdom out of season bears no fruit. You know, for some it's just not their time.
Come on in.
You know,
Yeah.
and it may just take a longer time.
How's it going? Sure.
You know, yeah, it just may take a longer time to reach some others, but you do is strive to be the example.
Yeah. Which
know.
is huge, right? I mean, so many people inside and out aren't given attention, right? Somebody just simply cares. So tell me your biggest accomplishment.
Biggest accomplishment? I guess maybe earning my associate's degree. I guess that was a huge accomplishment. Of course, academically and personally, because I learned a lot about myself. And right now, I'm almost finished with my bachelor's, major's behavioral science. And I guess years ago, prior to being in college, I didn't realize how much I would learn about myself. You know, it's not just about a certificate or a degree, you know, it's a piece of paper, but the curriculum from the social sciences, you know, psychology class, even literature class sometimes can open you up to stories where you can see you can identify the human story or the human condition through these metaphors. And you can like, you know, peel back the layers and realize, wow, this is what I was doing, or this is what I was experiencing. It can gives you opportunities that create, you know, teachable moments with people when we have these discussions in class, outside of class, and sometimes I can create that spark and interest someone in signing up for school. And something like you never know what you can get out of it. You never know what it'll be something that'll spark a change in you.
That's huge, the after effect of all that. So I am excited to ask you this next question. We don't often get to sit down with a camera with people in prison who have actually submitted to Humans of San Quentin. Can you tell me about that experience for you?
Yes, a friend of mine, Actually, my friend Eric, I met him when I first began working as they call it IPA, inmate peer assistant. Well, pretty much I was facilitating orientation. So when people come new to the facility, just to give them a sense of what goes on here, what programs are offered, who to contact, need help with different services, so forth and so on, and we do phase 1. Similar program, just guys that need to get acclimated to what they can do, what trajectory they may want to go on throughout their incarceration. Mm-hmm. And he was another assistant, and one day he told me, asked me if I was familiar with humans. I said, no. So he gave me a pamphlet, gave a read, and told me that he's been in contact with you guys, and I can submit something about myself, and just to be open about your own journey. It was kind of a little informal what he gave me about the organization. I said, okay. I took a chance and just let it flow. It was kind of like a stream of consciousness. Just opened up, talked about some of my journey, and didn't really know that I would get a response and tell me that, we posted something and here's a copy. You got some people that, liked it already, and it's like, wow, I didn't even expect that. So for that to happen some months ago, then to sit here now with you guys is like amazing.
Yeah. And thank you for your vulnerability, right? You learned about us on a piece of paper and, told us things about yourself that were so personal, so I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I've learned years ago that you have to take that leap of faith and sometimes put yourself out there first. And I know it's even in his, even some of the tough guys that are too tough to get personal and emotional or be vulnerable. But I noticed if I open up first, then it's easy to get them to share. And I kind of just been taking that lesson just in life, period. Like, it's okay to open up and be vulnerable because you never know how that can help.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know why that made me emotional, but everybody's going through something. Everybody. And you never know, through sharing what that can do for someone. You never know. It's a good thing to do, because again, things like that just happen, but it's okay. I'm not embarrassed like I guess I would have been in the past. The monster, you're not supposed to cry, and that's all bull crap. It's okay.
Yeah, and
it's okay.
Yeah, it is. You make me tear up as well, but what I'm hoping is that you've got a son who's been through a huge tragedy in his life, and to see you cry, right? It's what he needs to know that it's okay for a grown man just to let it out. So.
Yeah, I know. I think that was the hardest I think I've cried in my life when I went through that. And it was phone call, in front of a counselor, I can smile thinking about it now, but it's that overwhelming sense of guilt and shame. Start to have all these different moments, flash in front of your eyes, and your problems. But you have to process and let it go to make room for more positive experiences and more growth and healing. And I've learned that. I mean, it's not easy. I definitely don't say that like it's easy, but it's necessary, and I'm okay with going through the process.
Yeah.
And we're not always seen in a favorable light, and I can understand that, but to offer some assistance of people in here that are, striving to be better, that need help, need services, coming from underserved communities, it's easy to be forgotten.
Absolutely.
So to help people in these conditions is awesome.
Sure. Yeah.
Anything else you want to add? We got a camera in your face today.
I know. I'm gonna have to set my video game up for the next one.
Well, in my experience, I've always liked being behind the camera. I told you I used to do low budget videos and stuff in the past. I'm not used to being on camera.
Well, here we're recording. We're recording. It moves in and out here. You can get us for a second.
Yeah, that lens. If you grab the lens like this, you can zoom in and out on us. Yeah.
Well, listen, you guys are awesome for what you're doing. I thank you on behalf of those who are not here, guys who are just hearing about you, guys that may discover you in the future. No, what you doing? Because this work counts. And even Elena shared a little, Diane shared a little about her past as well. Teaching is a dope profession.
Yes.
Education is huge, and education, especially higher education, did a lot for my personal growth and development. So what you guys are doing is great, providing a great service to people that need it. So again, on behalf of everybody that's striving to be better, striving to be the best version of themselves, I thank you. Beautiful young women coming to help us. Listen, thanks to
Thank
him.
you, Kareem.
Yes.